And joining me now from New York is Shai Franklin, a partner at Gotham Government Relations. Thank you so very much for being with us on both of these very important stories. And just before we touch on this suspected surveillance balloon, I do want to go back to the original story about Ilhan Omar getting kicked out of a very important and influential Foreign Affairs Committee. There's a lot of throwing around of racism. Omar says that she is the target of a racist attack, while Jews and Israelis, at least some of them, say she's incredibly discriminatory toward them. Can you cut through some of this noise and explain exactly who is racist here and what is going on?
Of course, I have my own opinion, but the objective fact is that there are several Republican members of Congress who have expressed openly anti-Semitic views, and others who have been sort of more crypto anti-Semitic, like Ilhan Omar was on a couple of occasions herself, and they all have very nice committee assignments. Even the current Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, had posted on Twitter before the presidential election saying that the three billionaires, all of whom happen to be Jewish, were going to be buying the election. So he ended up deleting the post, but he never apologized for that. And he's now Speaker of the House. Donald Trump, who himself has expressed anti-Semitic views throughout his political career, and even recently, he is still the frontrunner for the Republican nomination. And Kevin McCarthy asked for his blessing to be Speaker of the House. So it's clear, whatever reason they have for kicking Ilhan Omar off of the Foreign Affairs Committee, it's not because they're concerned about anti-Semitism. That's a bit hypocritical. Whether it's racist, the fact that she's the only Muslim member of Congress, the only black woman Muslim member of Congress, of course, that is an optic that I don't think the Republican Party has a problem with. I think it's going to help them with their base, including some Jews, as we know.
Right, and just explain to us how significant a vote like this actually is, considering the fact it wasn't exactly passed by a landslide, but rather a difference of 7?
Well, it was along party lines, and we have a very closely divided House. So that's what it comes down to, really. Most of the votes we're going to see along partisan lines now are going to be very close votes. The Republicans knew that. They knew they would have the votes. And anybody that I think would have been concerned about propriety and optics and not appearing racist is no longer really serving in the Republican caucus in the House of Representatives. They've either been voted out or they've left of their own accord.
And speaking of which, a balloon has now caused a major diplomatic burst, so to speak, between China and the United States, with Blinken's planned trip to Beijing now being postponed indefinitely. Has this been blown out of proportion here, especially as China has regretted the incident?
I think if this had happened a week ago, it could have been ironed out, but the secretary was supposed to leave, I think, today even, if not tomorrow. So there's no time to work that out. I think it's important not that the United States officials not appear to be angry. I think it's important to discover what exactly this was about, and also it is a violation of American sovereignty, and so it can't just. It would be overshadowing the whole visit. So I don't think this is, in the scheme of history, this will not be considered a major event, I hope. But as it appears now. But for now, it's an important visit the secretary is making, and it's important that it be focused on the substantive issues and not on this particular incursion.
Now, a senior State Department official said, quote, "Conditions were not right at this time for what would have been the first high-level U.S.-China meeting there in years." And as you mentioned, a very important meeting. The question is, are conditions ever right between the two major and often opposing superpowers?
Certainly. President Biden and President Xi met just weeks ago, and that was a very important meeting. So this is not actually the most important bilateral meeting between the United States and China in the past 2 years. This is the most important meeting now. So there we go. We see President Biden and President Xi. Very nice. So it is important, and this is an ongoing relationship. That doesn't mean it's an ongoing friendship or alliance, of course, but it's important to have direct communication and not just via Zoom. And the first time actually that Secretary of State Blinken, as Secretary of State, met with his counterparts from China. It was not a very polite meeting. The Chinese were very vocal in condemning various U.S. policies. So this is an opportunity to meet in China and to have a longer series of meetings. So it will be important. It's important that it be done right. And if for some reason the Chinese government thought that this balloon would be an opportunity to sort of own the Secretary of State in these meetings, if he would come despite the balloon, it might look like he was being subservient or needy in some way to the Chinese. That has now been taken off the table. And the next meeting, hopefully, when it's rescheduled, the meeting will actually take place on an equal footing, and they'll be able to focus on the substance.
Shai Franklin, a partner at Gotham Government Relations, thank you so very much for being with us this evening.